All right, welcome back. Today, we are kicking off a full-blown green revolution. And guess what? It's all happening right in your backyard. We're going to solve one of the most frustrating problems that pretty much every new gardener faces, and we're going to solve it for good. So let's just ask the question, the one every new gardener whispers to themselves when they think no one's listening. Sound familiar? I mean, does that hit just a little too close to home? You've put in the time, you've put in the effort, you've spent the money, and your garden still looks, well, kind of sparse. Meanwhile, your neighbor's yard, it looks lush and established after just a couple of seasons. Let me tell you something right now. It is not bad luck. It is not bad soil. It's all about choosing the wrong plant. But you know what? All of that ends right now. Today, we're handing you the blueprint to transform that empty space into a full, beautiful garden that honestly looks like it was designed by a professional. And the best part? It happens fast. So let me introduce you to your new secret weapons. We are going to focus on 3 absolute game-changing perennials. I'm talking about the Dilly Promise for its unstoppable generosity. Then there's the Billowing Mound for its incredible space-claiming power. And finally, the Underground Magic for its stealthy expansion. These 3 right here, they're your ticket to a full garden, guaranteed. Okay, so what's the actual plan? It's simple. It's a 2-season transformation. We are not talking about waiting 5 or 6 years for results. No way. We're talking about a dramatic, incredible change that you can see and enjoy by this time next year. And the layout is completely foolproof. Seriously. You start by anchoring your whole design with that big, beautiful catmint. Then you add in the substantial clumps of daylilies for that reliable pop of color. And finally, you just let the coreopsis weave its magic right through all the gaps, creating this dense, seamless tapestry of flowers and leaves. So here's how it all unfolds. In the spring of year 1, you plant your superstars. Now, through that summer and fall, all the real action is happening underground. You can't even see it. Roots are multiplying, rhizomes are spreading out, and then comes spring of year 2. And that, my friends, is when you get the garden eruption. I'm talking about a lush, full-looking garden that seems like it just appeared overnight. So, how in the world do these plants pull off this kind of garden magic? Let's get into it. Let's break down exactly how each of our secret weapons gets the job done. First step, the daylily, or as I love to call it, the Dilly Promise. And why do I call it that? Because I promise you, no other plant gives you a better return for less investment in less time. It is easily the most reliable, forgiving, and generous plant you can stick in the ground. Period. Okay, here's where the magic really happens, under the soil. Daylilies grow from these thick, fleshy, tuberous roots. And for every single fan of leaves you see up top, its root system is working overtime down below, creating 3, 4, sometimes even 5 new fans in a single season. It's literally an underground factory churning out free plants. Okay, but listen up, because this is the crucial tip that separates the pros from the beginners. Do not wait 5 or 7 years to divide your daylilies. So many people do this. By then, the clump is literally choking itself out, and your flower count just plummets. The pro move is to get in there and divide it at year 3. The roots are still vigorous, and you'll not only get the most blooms, but you'll create a literal army of free plants to spread all over your garden. And just how many new plants are we talking about here? Well, from one single daylily, after just 2 seasons, you can create up to 12 new free plants. That's how you fill a 20-foot garden bed without spending another dime. It's an absolutely incredible return on your investment. All right, let's move on to our second superstar, catmint, the Billowing Mound. This plant is an absolute beast when it comes to covering ground. It forms this massive, soft mound of fragrant foliage, and it blooms for like 5 to 6 months straight. It's unbelievable. Its whole spreading mechanism is about what we call crown expansion. So it grows outward from the center in every single direction all at the same time. A single tiny plant from the nursery can become a 3-foot-wide, weed-suppressing mat by the end of its very first season. It just conquers bare soil. So, you want to triple your flowers? I thought so. Here is the pro move. Right after that first big show of flowers starts to fade, you shear the entire plant back by half. I know. It feels a little harsh, but trust me, it is a total game changer. This simple move forces the plant to send up completely new waves of flowers, effectively tripling your bloom season. And finally, superstar number 3, Coreopsis, the true master of underground magic. This plant is the ultimate gap filler. It spreads with this kind of mysterious efficiency that will genuinely surprise you. Its secret? It's these things called rhizomes. Think of them as unseen horizontal stems that travel just under the soil. You won't see them coming. And then one day you'll walk outside and find new Coreopsis plants have magically appeared in spots that were totally bare just a week ago. It is an absolute workhorse. And now for maybe the most counterintuitive pro move of them all. Most people, I see it all the time, they kill this plant with kindness. They plant it in rich, fertilized soil, and what happens? They get sloppy leaves and almost no flowers. The secret? You have to keep it lean. Plant it in poor soil, give it zero fertilizer, and basically just ignore it. I'm serious. That is when it will reward you with an absolute explosion of nonstop blooms. So, you've picked your superstars, you know all their little secrets, and you've followed the blueprint. What's the payoff? Well, it's your garden, completely and beautifully transformed. And what's the end result? It's this. From bare soil to a lush, professionally designed-looking garden in one smart planting season. And believe me when I tell you, that is not an exaggeration. You really can do this in one single smart planting season. So remember that initial problem, the half-empty garden, the frustration of waiting years for results? It's solved, gone. No more gaps, no more disappointment, just a living, breathing, beautiful space that fills in and gets better and better every single year. You know, this is about more than just planting a few flowers. It's about taking control of your space and building something that you're genuinely proud of every single time you step outside. It's really time to start your own green revolution. So I guess the only question left is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop waiting and wishing for a beautiful garden and finally start building one? Maybe even this weekend? If this explainer gave you the confidence to start your garden transformation, do us a huge favor. Smash that like button and subscribe for more game-changing secrets that will save you time, money, and a whole lot of frustration. We'll see you next time.
All right, let's get into it. Today, we are on a mission to completely conquer that bare ground in your yard. We're talking about turning those sad, frustrating patches of dirt into these amazing, lush, living carpets. And we're going to do it with 3 perennial champions that you absolutely need to know.
So does this look a little too familiar? You know the feeling, you planted your garden maybe a season or 2 ago, but it just looks, well, kind of half empty. It is such a common frustration, right? That feeling that your garden is just years behind where you think it should be. But listen, it's not bad luck, and it's probably not your soil. It really just comes down to choosing the right plants for the job.
And guess what? That all changes permanently, starting right now. See, this isn't just about learning a few plant names. Think of this as your empowerment session. I'm going to give you the exact playbook to create a full, professional-looking garden, and do it fast. So yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, up first, champion number 1. Creeping phlox, also known as the color cascade. And let me tell you, this one is a true spectacle. We're not just talking about a plant here, we're talking about an event. When this thing decides to bloom, it puts on a show that will literally transform an entire section of your garden.
Just listen to this. It captures it perfectly. A solid, continuous sheet of color so dense you cannot see a single leaf underneath it. I mean, come on. We're not talking about a few little scattered flowers here and there. This is a total floral takeover. It's an unbroken carpet of color so complete that the leaves underneath just vanish for weeks. It's incredible.
So what's its secret? What's its superpower? It's something called stem rooting. And here's how this awesome mechanism works. The stems basically crawl along the ground, and everywhere they touch the soil, bam, they send down new roots. They literally tack themselves down. Each one of those new root points becomes an anchor for even more growth, and that's how you get that super dense, weed-proof mat.
But hang on, because this right here is the absolute game changer. This is the one thing you have to know. Please, do not plant your phlox on flat ground. That is the #1 rookie mistake. Sure, it'll spread, but it'll be slow and kind of underwhelming. You want the pro move? Give it a drop. Plant it at the top of a slope, or on the edge of a retaining wall, or a raised bed. The second it gets to cascade downwards, its whole personality changes. It roots more aggressively, it fills in way denser, and it creates that spectacular waterfall of color we're all after.
All right, moving on to champion number 2, the Black-Eyed Susan. I like to call this one the double duty spreader.
This is a classic American native, and it has this unique 1-2 punch for taking over bare ground that nothing else on our list can quite match.
And yeah, it all comes down to this simple number 2. It has 2 totally distinct, super powerful ways of spreading, and they're both working at the exact same time to fill every single available gap.
So here's how it pulls off this magic trick. Onto the soil, it's sending out these things called rhizomes. They're basically horizontal stems that pop up and create new clumps. But at the exact same time, above ground, it's a self-seeding machine, dropping tons of seeds that sprout and fill in all the little spaces the rhizomes haven't reached yet. It's just a relentless, double-pronged attack on bare dirt.
Okay, now here's its kryptonite. And you know what? It actually comes from having good intentions. On the left, you've got the tidy gardener. They go out in the fall and cut everything back. It looks neat, sure, but you are throwing away a massive opportunity. On the right, you have the thriving gardener, who knows the secret is to leave those seed heads standing all winter long. And here's exactly why that's so important. You get months of winter food for birds. I'm talking goldfinches, chickadees, right when they need it most. You get tons of free new plants the next spring, no work required. Plus, you get this beautiful architectural look in your garden all winter. It is a huge win-win-win for you and your local ecosystem, all from just putting your pruners away. It's a no-brainer.
And for our final champion, we're shifting gears to appeal to a totally different sense. This is lamb's ear, and its claim to fame is this incredible texture and just astonishing speed. So get ready for the silver carpet.
You know, I love this quote because it is 100% true. Every single person who visits a garden with lamb's ear reaches down and touches it. They just do. The leaves are covered in these dense, soft, silvery white hairs that feel just like velvet or fabric. Kids, adults, nobody can resist it. It brings this amazing tactile element to the garden that really nothing else can.
So what's its superpower? It's a ground-level runner, kind of like the phlox, but honestly, even more aggressive. We're talking about a single small plant easily tripling in size in just one season. It forms a mat so thick and so low to the ground that it physically blocks sunlight from reaching any weed seeds. It literally smothers them right out of existence.
Okay, but what's its kryptonite? Believe it or not, it's kindness. This plant evolved on these dry, rocky, sun-baked hillsides. So the most important thing to remember is this. If you overwater it, if you pile mulch up around its base, or if you plant it in rich, fertilized soil, it's going to rot. This is a plant that thrives on neglect. Seriously, the less you do, the better it's going to perform.
All right, there you have it. You've met the champions. So now it's time to stop talking and start doing. Let's turn all this theory into reality. Let's get you started on your very first mission, turning one of those bare patches into a total masterpiece.
And we're going to keep this super simple. Here's your checklist. First, just look at your spot. What have you got? Is it a slope that's just begging for some phlox? Is it a big sunny patch perfect for black-eyed Susans? Or maybe that dry, tough area where lamb's ear would thrive? Step 2, just choose one champion. Don't overthink it, just pick the one that fits. 3, plant it, give it a good watering to settle it in, and then let it be. 4, and this is crucial, avoid the kryptonite. Remember that one key mistake for your plant. And 5, just watch it grow. Enjoy those fast, beautiful results. The goal here is just to build your confidence with one big win.
So let's just recap the big 3. If you remember nothing else from today, remember these top rookie mistakes to avoid. Number 1, planting phlox on flat ground. Number 2, cutting down those black-eyed Susan seed heads in the fall. And number 3, please do not kill your lamb's ear with kindness. No overwatering, no overmulching. Got it?
Okay, so that brings us to you. You've officially got the playbook. So what's the plan? I want to know. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these champions are you planting first to conquer your bare ground? Are you going with the phlox, the black-eyed Susan, or the lamb's ear?
Hey, if this gave you the confidence to get out there and finally plant something, do me a favor and hit that like button, and definitely subscribe. Every single one of these explainers is designed to give you this exact kind of actionable, pro-level info. You don't want to miss the next plant power-up. We'll see you next time.
You know that feeling, right? You've poured your heart, your time, your weekends into your garden for years, and it still just looks, well, kind of sparse. It's so frustrating. But guess what? Today, we're going to fix that. Okay, so let's get real for a second. Take a look at this. On the left, that's your neighbor's garden. It's only 2 years old, but it looks like a jungle. It's lush, it's full, it looks like it's been there forever. And then, on the right, that might look a little familiar. That's your garden, maybe. 4 years in, and you can still see dirt. What is going on? Well, here's the absolute game-changing insight, and this comes straight from our source material. It's not bad luck. It's not your soil. It is, plain and simple, the wrong plants. And that is fantastic news because it means it's not you. It's a problem we can solve. And in this explainer, we're going to give you the list of perennial all-stars that will totally transform your garden, and fast. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with that empty garden problem and meet our ground-covering gurus. Then we'll unleash the ultimate problem solvers on those tricky spots. After that, it's all about the wildlife and structure squad. And finally, we'll see your garden completely transformed. Let's do it. Okay, first up, the ground-covering gurus. Think of these guys as your first line of attack on all that bare soil. Their whole job is to spread out, cover the ground, and choke out weeds before they can even get started.
So who are these gurus? First, you've got the daylily, probably the most reliable and generous plant you'll ever own. Then there's coreopsis, the powerhouse that actually loves poor soil. And finally, lamb's ear, which is, no joke, the fastest spreader on our list. So what's the secret to how coreopsis takes over so effectively? It's these things called rhizomes. These are underground stems that shoot out horizontally, completely hidden from view. So you don't see anything happening on the surface, and then, boom, new plants start popping up where there was just bare dirt. It's like a secret underground colonization mission. And this brings us to the biggest mistake people make with coreopsis, and you're gonna love this. We try to be too nice to it. We give it rich soil, we fertilize it, and what happens? You get floppy leaves and not many flowers. But if you plant it in lean, kind of crappy soil and just leave it alone, that's when you get rewarded with super strong stems and way more blooms. It actually thrives on neglect. Now, daylilies are amazing because they give you free plants. The key is dividing them, but you have to get the timing right. Don't wait too long. Year 3, that's the magic number. The plant is big enough, but still super vigorous. You literally just drive a spade right down the middle, pry it apart, and replant the pieces. It's seriously that easy to multiply your investment.
All right, moving on to the ultimate problem solvers. If the last group was your army, this group is your special ops team. These are the plants you send into the absolute worst, most impossible parts of your yard, those dead zones where you thought nothing could ever grow. And the secret weapon for our first problem solver is something called a stolon. You've totally seen this before. It's an above-ground runner, exactly like what a strawberry plant does. It sends out these little arms across the ground, and everywhere a node touches the soil, it puts down roots and starts a whole new plant. It's an incredibly fast way to create a dense carpet. And which impossible problem does this solve? Ah, yes, the dreaded shady tree dead zone. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That patch of dirt under a big maple or oak where the grass won't grow, the soil is dry as a bone, and it's full of tree roots. It's a plant graveyard. But ajuga? Ajuga loves it there. It was basically built for that exact spot and will turn it into a beautiful weed-proof carpet. Okay, here's another classic garden headache. A bare, ugly slope or that space on top of a retaining wall. The perfect solution is creeping phlox. But here's the one thing you have to know. This plant wants to cascade. It wants to spill over an edge, like a waterfall of flowers. The biggest mistake people make is planting it on flat ground where it can't do its thing. Put it at the top of a slope or a wall and let it go. The show is unbelievable. All right, so a great garden is more than just a pretty picture, right? It's a living ecosystem. That brings us to our wildlife and structure squad. This section is all about choosing plants that build a habitat that works all year round, especially for birds and insects when things get tough in the winter. And this really gets to the heart of a big debate among gardeners. When fall comes, what do? Are you on Team Tidy Garden, where everything gets cut back to the ground? Or are you on Team Winter Habitat, where you leave things standing? Well, the case for leaving them up is pretty darn strong. Those dead-looking seed heads, they're actually a free, all-you-can-eat buffet for birds like goldfinches and chickadees all winter. They also provide shelter for good bugs to overwinter in your garden. And you get a bonus, they drop seeds, which means free plants for you next year. It's a total win-win-win. And the absolute superstar of this strategy is the black-eyed Susan. Why? Because it has this amazing double action spread.
Under the ground, it's sending out those rhizomes we talked about, and above ground, the seed heads are feeding the birds, who then fly around your garden and, well, they help you plant more seeds. It's this perfect self-sustaining loop that fills your garden and feeds the wildlife. So let's quickly recap your wildlife support team. You've got Black-Eyed Susan for winter bird seed. Then there's Bee Balm, which is a hummingbird magnet in summer and also feeds birds in winter with its seeds. And don't forget a good ornamental grass like Carl Foster. It provides crucial structure and cover for animals all year long. Okay, time to bring it all home with the final section. Your garden transformed. We've filled in the bare spots, we've solved the problem areas, we've invited the wildlife in. Now it's time for the high-impact bloomers. These are the plants that put on the real show.
And I want to start with a number that just might blow your mind. 5 to 6. We're talking about 5 to 6 months of nonstop flowers from one single plant, catmint. That's not a few weeks in June. That's basically from late spring all the way to frost. Talk about getting your money's worth.
But there's a trick to it, and most people don't know this. After that first huge wave of flowers is done, you can't just leave it. You have to do the midsummer shear. You take your shears and you cut the whole plant back by about half. It feels brutal, but what it does is trigger 2 more complete waves of flowers. So you go from 1 bloom season to 3 just from that one simple cut.
And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. A lush, beautiful, full garden, that's not something you should have to wait years and years to enjoy. It's something you can actually build on purpose in one single smart season just by making intelligent plant choices. So I want to leave you with this final question to think about. When you walk out into your garden this fall, what kind of gardener do you want to be? Are you going to be the one who cleans everything up for a super tidy winter look? Or are you going to be the one who leaves those seed heads and stems standing as a lifeline for the birds and the bees? It's a simple choice, really, but it completely changes what your garden becomes during those long winter months.
All right, let's get into it. Have you ever stood back, looked at your garden packed with all these beautiful plants, and just thought, why does this still look so flat? If that sounds like you, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to stop just planting things and start designing. We are going to build some real garden architecture.
You know, it's such a common frustration, right? You put in the time, you spend the money, but what you get is this kind of one-dimensional sea of green. It just doesn't have that professional, really established look. It's missing that height, that structure, that wow factor.
Well, that all changes, starting right now. Because in this explainer, we are unlocking the secrets to creating that verticality and structure that's going to completely transform your garden from amateur to absolutely architectural. Okay, let's dive in.
So our foundation, it all starts with a classic, the Shasta daisy. You know, varieties like Becky can give you a solid 3 to 4 feet of height, which creates that first absolutely crucial layer of dimension. They're the real workhorses, giving you armloads of cut flowers all summer long. But they come with a very common and often very fatal flaw.
Okay, does this sound familiar? You have this gorgeous, thriving clump of daisies one year, and then after a wet winter, they're just gone. They vanish. And let me tell you, it is not bad luck, and it's not some mystery pest. The killer is hiding right under the surface, in your soil.
So here's the deal. The problem is something called crown rot. If you've got heavy clay soil, winter rain just sits there. It has nowhere to go, and it waterlogs the base, the crown of the plant. See, the Shasta daisy absolutely cannot stand having its feet wet, and it literally rots from the center out. But the pro fix? It's shockingly simple.
And this is just how easy it is. The source actually calls this the embarrassingly simple fix. All you need is 4 inches of height. Seriously, you can mound up the soil, maybe build a tiny raised bed, or just work a few inches of coarse grit right into the planting hole. That little bit of elevation is all it takes to let the water drain away from the crown, making sure your daisies come back year after glorious year.
Okay, so with our foundation set, it's time to reach for the sky. We need some vertical architecture, and that is where Speedwell, or Veronica, comes in. These plants push up these tall, elegant, upright flower spikes that act like architectural spires in the garden, drawing your eye upward and making the whole space feel so much more designed.
But, and this is a big but, here's the mistake that just ruins that clean vertical look. You plant it, it looks amazing for a bit, and then by July, the stems get all weak and they just flop over. It creates this messy heap instead of that crisp structure you were going for. So what's going wrong?
The problem, believe it or not, is that you're being too kind to it. We kill speedwell with kindness. See, rich, fertilized soil and too much shade basically tells the plant to produce all this lush, soft growth that just can't support itself. The professional solution is to be lean and mean. Give it average, unfertilized soil and at least 6 hours of full sun. The plant responds by growing stronger, more compact, and perfectly upright stems.
So the huge takeaway here is that for this kind of architectural plant, less is absolutely more. Stop fertilizing it. Put it in a sunny, even slightly neglected spot. You're going to be rewarded with those strong, vertical lines that make a garden look truly intentional.
All right, for all of you gardening in those hot, dry climates, I'm talking Texas to the Carolinas and everywhere in between, this next plant is your heat-proof shield. Russian sage was practically designed for your conditions. Its airy silver stems and those lavender blue flowers, they just shimmer in the summer heat when everything else is struggling to survive.
I mean, this quote from the source really says it all, doesn't it? This plant doesn't just tolerate tough conditions, it absolutely thrives in them. It provides incredible structure and color where very little else will. But, and this is important, it comes with one major rule that even really experienced gardeners get wrong all the time.
Oh, this is such a painful and expensive mistake to make. You do your big fall cleanup, you cut your Russian sage right down to the ground like you would any other perennial, and then the next spring, crickets. Nothing. It's just gone. And let me tell you, this isn't a fluke. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how this plant works.
And here is why. Russian sage is actually a semi-shrub. It has a woody base, and next year's growth comes from that woody structure, not from the roots underground. So when you cut it all the way to the ground, you are literally cutting off its ability to grow back. The correct way to do it is to leave about 6 to 8 inches of those woody stems standing all winter long. Then in the spring, you'll see new buds emerge, and you can just trim back to right above that new growth.
So what's the big picture here? What do all these lessons give us? It's not just a better summer garden. It's a garden that has interest and a real design that lasts all year long. This is how you start creating that coveted 4-season structure.
I mean, look at how all these ideas come together. Leaving those woody stems of the Russian sage creates this beautiful winter sculpture. That strong, upright habit we cultivated in our speedwell that keeps it from collapsing into a mushy heap in the snow. Good drainage for our daisies prevents that winter rot we talked about. And by leaving some of those seed heads standing, you're providing a critical food source for local birds like goldfinches and chickadees right when they need it the most. Your garden becomes this beautiful, living habitat, even in the middle of winter.
So there you have it. You've got the drainage fix for that foundational height, the lean and mean approach for those vertical spires, and the right way to prune for a resilient, heat-proof shield. You now have the core principles for building a garden with real professional dimension. If you found these pro tips helpful and you're ready to build more fantastic garden features, make sure to subscribe and like this explainer to join our community of savvy gardeners.
And that brings us to our final question for you. With these new tools in your toolkit, which piece of architecture are you going to build first? Will it be the foundational daisy, the vertical speedwell, or the resilient sage? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. This is the masterclass on how you transform your garden. And I mean really transform it. Forget waiting years and years for your yard to look full and amazing. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how you can get that high-impact, professionally designed look in just one single smart planting season. You ever look at a neighbor's garden? You know the one. They planted it maybe 2 seasons ago, and it already looks like it's been there forever. And meanwhile, you're looking at yours 4 years in, and it still looks kind of half empty. So what is the secret, right? What do the pros know that we don't?
Well, here's the thing. It is not bad luck. It's not about having a green thumb, and it's probably not your soil. It all comes down to choosing the right plants. See, the secret isn't just about pretty flowers. It's about finding plants that give you structure, create movement, and look interesting through all 4 seasons of the year. We're shifting from just planting things to actually building something.
So which plant actually delivers all of this? I'll tell you. The next time you drive past a really high-end home or a beautifully designed public park, look closely. You will see this plant. Landscape architects use this one perennial more than almost any other, and for one simple reason, it always performs. It's called Karl Forster feather reedgrass, and believe me, it is the key to making your entire garden look like a pro was there.
Let's just walk through its game plan for the whole year, because it's pretty incredible. It all kicks off in spring. After that long, gray winter, this is one of the very first ornamental grasses to show any sign of life. It pushes up these tight, clean clumps of bright green. It's that first pop of life and vertical structure when everything else is just waking up. And then summer hits. These super narrow, upright flower spikes shoot up, and they're topped with these gorgeous, feathery plumes. Now this is where the magic really happens. These plumes, they catch every little bit of wind, bringing this incredible motion, this living, breathing quality to the garden that, a static flower just can't compete with. Okay, as we move into fall, the transformation is just wow. It's stunning. The plumes turn this warm, golden wheat color, and then the whole plant follows, shifting into this rich, amber gold. It literally becomes a glowing focal point in your yard, standing out against all those changing fall colors. And this right here? This is what we mean by four-season interest. While every other perennial in your garden has collapsed into mush, Karl Foister is still standing tall, totally structural. It catches the snow, it casts these beautiful shadows in the frost, it provides that architectural form when your garden needs it the most. Spring, summer, fall, winter. All from one plant. It's a total game changer. All right, let's get into the masterclass, because knowing what plant to use, that's only half the battle. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the specific techniques and the timing that will turn this one plant into a garden-filling powerhouse. And this is going to save you a ton of money and years of waiting. Okay, now here's a huge mistake I see all the time, and it comes from being a little too eager. People get excited about free plants, so they start dividing every couple of years. But listen, the sweet spot for this grass is every 4 to 5 years. If you divide it too often, you're just setting the plant back before it can ever reach its full spectacular size. A little patience here pays off big time with a much stronger plant. And when you do divide, the timing and the technique are, and I mean this, non-negotiable. It has to be done in early spring. And forget about using a little hand trowel. This plant's root mass is like a brick. It's so dense and tough. You need a sharp spade, and you need to put your full body weight on it to drive it right through the center. Then, split off a good-sized chunk, at least a third of the original, so it can reestablish fast. That is how you get free plants that actually perform. So, the crucial point here is this. Placement is everything. It's the whole ball game. If you want that signature look, that clean, vertical, architectural vibe, you absolutely have to give it full sun. You put this plant in the shade and it's going to get sad and floppy. It'll completely lose the structure that makes it so valuable in the first place. Get this one decision right and you've got a decade of amazing performance. And this brings us to the grand finale. Because this whole thing isn't just about one superstar grass. This plant represents a huge shift in mindset. It's a whole new strategy for building the garden you actually want. Not in 5 years, but right now, this season. I want you to let this sink in for a second. A full, beautiful, professionally designed-looking garden is not something you wait years to achieve. It is something you build deliberately and intelligently in one single, smart planting season. That is the ultimate takeaway here. So how do you actually do that? Well, you take this Karl Foister formula and you apply it to your entire garden. You start choosing plants that work hard. They give you structure and interest across multiple seasons. You learn their sweet spot for division so you can fill all that bare soil fast with strong, free plants. You avoid those common mistakes, like dividing too soon or planting in the wrong spot that cost other gardeners years of growth. And you apply the right timing for your specific climate. That's the formula. You now have more actionable, real-world information than most gardeners get in 5 years of just trial and error. So if this explainer gave you even one aha moment that's going to change how you garden this season, then let's build on that momentum. Let's do it together. So I really want to know what this community is all about. Tell me, are you the kind of gardener who cuts everything down in the fall for that super neat and tidy winter look? Or are you, like we just talked about, do you leave that structure and those seed heads standing for the birds and the wildlife? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Let me know. Okay, last thing before you go. Subscribe to this channel. And look, don't do it as a favor to me. Do it as a commitment to yourself and to your garden. You work hard out there, and you deserve information that actually matches that effort. So hit that subscribe button, comment with your USDA zone so we can all see where everyone is growing, and let's keep building something that you're genuinely proud of every single time you walk outside. Let's grow together.